Good evening. How you doing today? This is Serena Buie. I'm going live talking about my son death, Kedric Buie. Um, this happened August the 13th of 2017, and I still been fighting for justice for what happened to my son. This is Kedric. He's an identical twin. They expected for me to give up on what happened to my son, but I haven't. I refuse to give up on my son's death because the information that I have is some of it is not accurate. I do know that my son life was taken from him. They wanted me to believe that he had a coronary artery heart disease, hypertension, obesity. But I know that it was more to it because they said he had blunt force trauma to the head, blunt force trauma to the torso, and injuries to his body. So, um, like I said, this happened in 2017. This is 2022. This is going on 5 years. August that I've been trying to get justice for what happened to my son. And eventually, I will get justice for what happened to my son. I'm not giving up. Um, the way it happened, it wasn't right. I talked to him on August the 12th. He was sounding good. I know he told me that he had problem with the correctional officer there. That's one reason he wanted to be transferred, and he was going to call me the next following day. The next following day, my son was dead, and um, I would not live my life with this going on and me not knowing. I'm not one of the type of parents that I give up on what happened to my son. I would not give up. I have got additional information over the years because I have been trying to investigate and get as much information as I can. And I will continue to fight for what's going on. This is getting to be very common in the prison system with the inmates coming up, as they call it, unresponsible. They're not breathing. They're not alert. That's the word that they use when inmate is either killed in prison or is OD, or it can be a lot of different things that happen. But I know you haven't seen me in a while because I had a lot of personal things that's going on, which I did not stop in the midst of trying to get as much information about what happened with Kedric. I would like for you all to share with what I have going on with my son. Um, I'm always trying to figure out who can I talk to, who do I need to talk to. I had an inbox this morning on a guy that was there during the time of my son death that gave me somewhat of some input on what I needed as far as with my son. And I know that eventually God is going to work this situation out with what I'm going through. He deserved justice. I'm his voice. He's no longer here. I'm a real mother that will fight for what is right. And at this time, what I'm asking for, if it's anyone that was in USP, Atlanta, Georgia Federal Prison, during the time of 2016 up until August the 13th of 2017, that know someone that was there during the time of Kedric death. I do know that my son was it was something going on during the time of my son's death. I do know that it was a threat on my son's life. Which you're right, Peace Justice, Atlanta, Georgia is a death trap. And the thing about it is, we as parents, sometimes we don't speak up. We do not do anything about it. We go by what they give us, which is um, what they feel that happened. We go by what we read on paper, but sometimes we don't ask for more information. And me being a parent, I asked for the death certificate, the autopsy, the toxicology report. I asked for everything. The toxicology report stated that Ketcher, he was negative of any type of drugs. Drugs was planted in his room during the time of his death, which was black tar heroin. And if he had any dealing with that, we all know that if you don't wear gloves dealing with cocaine and heroin, they do get in your system. Well, he didn't have anything like that in his system. So they felt that I wasn't going to be the type of parent to look up into what happened. Once I seen blunt force trauma and blunt force uh, trauma to the torso and the head, bruises, contusion, hemorrhaging, it was more than what they said it is. And the autopsy doctor told me that I would be fighting for years and years. You know, if I was trying to win a lawsuit, it's not about a lawsuit. It's about getting justice for what happened to my son. It's about holding somebody accountable for what happened to my son. If that means holding the warden accountable, that means whoever I have to hold accountable, someone must be held accountable for catching death. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Since my son's death, I have heard so much about so many inmates are coming up dead in the prison system, in the jail system, and it is not right. So for that to be going on, then that means that it's something that's just not right in the system. And we have to come together as a whole to work to find out what is really going on with this. I'm planning on going to Atlanta, Georgia in July to speak about what happened to my son because right is right and wrong is wrong. When he committed the crime, he did the time. And like I said, this year was supposed to be his year to get out. So what we have to think about in life that even though that if we are not in that situation, we never know if we will be in that situation. We also have to think about that we have grandkids, we have nieces, nephews, I mean we have family. So, you know, when you hear people trying to fight to try to get something done about the prison system, you know, if I knew what I knew now, I probably would have been much further than what I am now. I don't know if it's going to get to that point, but I want to think about my son. I didn't want to think about having to resume my son's body to do another autopsy. I don't, you know, something that I don't want to do, but you know, if push comes to shove, I have to do what I need to do in order to get all the information that I need to get. Because they asked me if I wanted my son's body to be cremated. I said no, I wanted my son's body to be transferred to Birmingham, and I wanted to funeralize him and bury him the proper way. So everything has worked out well. I was able to do what I needed to do with my son. And like I said, it's not over. Whether you see me on doing a live video, whether you don't see me, it's not over. This is like a daily thing that go on that I have to talk to somebody that knows something that knows something. And right now, if we would find a way to help one another with sharing certain information or sharing certain videos or giving people the right information that they need to who they need to reach out to, that will help everyone as far as dealing with, especially when you're dealing with the death of your son. And if I knew, or your loved one, if I knew what I knew now, I probably would have been way ahead, but I never been familiar with the system because I never been caught up in the system. But it took for this to knock on my door, for it to wake me up and say, this is real. It's not just going on in the street, it's going on in Atlanta, Georgia. And I did do a complaint during the time when the DOJ was doing the investigation on Atlanta, Georgia. I did another complaint, which was my second one. I did get an email back saying that if they need further information from me, that they will contact me to see, if it was something that I needed to provide. So I'm still waiting on that. And like I say, Kedric was only 26 years old. My son did not deserve to lose his life like this. He did not deserve this. I mean, he's a human being. He deserved to live. No one that go to prison deserves for their life to be taken from them, whether it's from an inmate or whether it's from a correctional officer. They don't deserve that. And we do know that the correctional officer are very low down. They don't care. And since they don't care and people see what's going on, I feel that all inmates should be allowed to have cell phone in the prison, because this is stuff that need to be recorded. This is things that need to be put out, and people need to know exactly what's going on in the system. It's time out for a closed mouth. You got to speak out. You got to say something about what's going on. And we, as people or as a mother, it's no way that you can just tell me that my son just flat out had a heart attack. If he did have a heart attack, he had a heart attack because of the beating to his body that caused him to go into cardiac arrest, if that was the case. If you ask me, majority of his trauma to his body was on the backside. When we seen him, we only seen the top part, which was his face on down. But you can also tell that his hands was very swollen and balled up also. They wanted to tell me that, they called me that morning and said that they found Kedric dead. But in another report I have, it's a picture showing Kedric laying up in the ER. So my thing is, they had tools and everything that's coming out of his body. You can also see his forehead. His brace was snatched from the front part of his head. He also only had on one shoe. During the time of this, they also said that someone worked on him for 15 to 20 minutes prior to the correctional officer getting there. When the correctional officer got there, the inmate told the officer that my son was already gone. But the officer wanted to still work on Kedric at the same time. So the thing about it is, they did not want the rumor to get out that Kedric was dead at the prison. My son did not die at the ER. He was already pronounced dead at the prison. And the reason for that is so that they won't have to give an explanation on what was the reason for his death at that time. Well, during August the 13th, 2017, they had 5 investigations going on that same date. And I'm not for sure if it pertained to all death, but I know my son was one of the deaths that was in there. So, I will not stop. I will continue to fight. I will continue to try to get as much information as I can get. I'm still on hold right now. Still waiting on a couple people to help me get some other information that I need. But if you know someone that was in USP, Atlanta, Georgia Federal Prison during the time of 2016 up until um, August the 13th, 2017, that have any information concerning Kedric Buie death, would you please contact me, his mother. My name is Serena Buie, and whatever information I get, I would really appreciate it. But the thing about it is, I don't need a lawyer to speak out with what happened to my son. I just need the truth to be told with what happened to my son. I need pictures. I asked for pictures. They told me that I did not need the pictures. I needed to remember him the way I needed to remember him. If that's so, then if he had just a heart attack, what could be so hard with looking at that picture? It was more to it than what they are saying. And I do know that my son's life was taken. I do know it was a threat on my son's life. And I do know that it's not over with at all. Please share this video with anyone that you can, and that will help out a whole lot if you are able to share, because this have been a hard bout, and it hurt daily to think about that your child is gone, his life was taken, and they feel like you're not supposed to say anything about it, you're not supposed to speak about it. But I'm totally different. I'm going to speak on when you're right, and I'm going to speak on when you're wrong. And I feel like that my son, I mean, he gone too soon, and only God knows what's going on, and I feel like that he's with God, but God also know my heart, how I feel as a mother, which my son belonged to God regardless of what. But at the end of the day, if I did not do what I'm supposed to do as a parent and get out there and try to fight for justice, then it's just like I'm saying that I don't care, and I'm not that type of parent. I love my boys. Whatever I have to do to be there for them, I will. If they wrong, they wrong. They right, they right. In this situation, my son's life did not deserve to be taken away from him. He did not deserve this. And they treat inmates like, their lives don't matter, but their lives do matter also. Our lives matter. Whether you in prison or you out of prison, it doesn't matter. Everybody's lives matter, and everybody deserves to be treated the way that they deserve to be treated. And I guess sometimes people forget that just because they have authority to work in certain areas, that it'll never happen to them. But the people that had anything to do with my son's death, like they say, well, go around, come around. You have to be careful with how you do people. And we do know that Atlanta, Georgia prison was very corrupt. We do know that they did an investigation on Atlanta, Georgia, in prison about the corruption. We do know that a lot of officers lost their job, and a lot of inmates was transferred to other prisons. We do know this. We do know that it was cell phone, drugs, and everything inside of the prison during the time of the investigation. We do know that it were way for the inmates to get out, to go and do what they wanted to do. At night, and the officer knew about it. We do know this. So by us knowing all of this, then that means it's something wrong somewhere. And they normally say it normally starts at the top. And it's time for a change. It's time to stop taking people's lives. It's time to stop killing the inmates in prison. It's time to stop covering up with what's going on with the inmates. It's time to speak out. It's time to come together. It's time for a change. And I'm asking if anyone know anything that can help to add to what I have already concerning my son's death, please inbox me or whatever. But somebody always knows somebody, so we already know that it's several inmates in there that know what happened to my son. We do know that they was there during the time. We don't know exactly all the inmates' name, just like, I was told that the night of Kedric death that a officer spit in his food, which could have caused an altercation with, you looking at somebody spitting in your food. So yes, you're going to retaliate. Like I say, I wasn't there. I don't know all the details, but those were some of the things that I found out. I was told that he did not get along with a couple of officers that was there. They had a couple of run-ins. So at the end of the day, I still want more answers. I will not stop. I will keep doing whatever I need to do to get justice for what happened to my son. And like I say, he did not deserve this. He did not deserve for his life to be taken. And he wasn't sick, because we talked on the phone the day before. He was smiling and saying that he couldn't wait to get from down there because the officer was very low down. So the only thing that my son normally had was maybe a headache or a cold. But my son did not have any health issues. So they can use coronary artery heart disease, obesity, hypertension. They could use whatever they want to use. But at the end of the day, the truth, it will be told. The truth will come out. Somebody is going to speak up with what's happening. And this is just going on too much. And we need to keep an eye on how things is happening in the system and being covered up. Well, it's so many people or parents in my situation who have lost their loved ones in prison, and some went by just what they was told and some didn't. And I feel that, the way the system is, you just don't go by what they tell you, or you go by what you read, and you got to try to figure out what you read and what do it mean, what's actually going on. Did it really happen the way they said it happened? No. In my situation, no, it did not happen the way they said it happened. Also, I was told the trauma to my son's body was fresh. The autopsy doctor told me he can't explain it, but it happened the day before or the day of his death, but he cannot explain the trauma to my son's body. And he wanted me to think that it was actually a heart attack. And I asked, was my son clothes bloody? He said no, that they wasn't, which I don't believe that. I mean, I have a lot of questions in my head all the time about what actually really happened. But everything that goes on in the dark do come to the light. So I would really thank you all if you all will continue to share this video. I'm going to continue to share. August the 13th of this year is right around the corner, and that would mark 5 years of Kedric death. But at the same time, it's no limitation on murder. It's no limitation on murder. We're not talking about a different type of case where he just died, or a wrongful death. This is past that. Is more than that. And eventually I will get all the answers that I need, because God know my heart, and he know I have been searching, and he know that I have been looking. And eventually, if it's 8-9 years from here, I'm still going to be right here doing the same thing, talking about what happened to my son, because we all have to we all fail to realize that we all have loved ones. We can't never say, what's going on with them, what they doing when they are locked up, and how they being treated. Because a lot of us is not educated on the prison system, because I was one of them that did not know anything about how it worked. So I would like for you all to continue to share this video to many people as you can. And if you know anyone that know anything that can add to what I already have, I would really appreciate it. And like I say, this happened in 2017, August the 13th, of Kedric Buie death. And, you know, it's not right. And I want justice. And I want justice. So if I have to keep doing this, I'm just going to have to keep doing it until eventually I get to where I need to get and I get the answers that I need. And thank you. Again, please share this video, and whatever you find out, whatever you know, please inbox me to let me know who that you know, because somebody always knows somebody that knows somebody. It's just that we just have to be in the right place at the right time, and eventually, um, the, thank you, Hara. Eventually, the truth will be told, and like I say, they didn't get one this time. I just had to keep my cool during the time of everything going on, because I didn't want them to say that they wasn't going to send my son body here. I didn't want them to try to cremate. I didn't want them to try to do this and that. I know that the information that I got the day of his death, I called back to the prison the next day, and one of the officers was very rude and told me that he didn't care what I had what I had going on and what happened, that if I didn't calm down and talk to him the way he needed to be talked to, that I wouldn't get to where I needed to get. So I kept calling back trying to get that officer to repeat his name, but he never would repeat his name. But, you know, that's going to come to the surface too. Everything that go on in the dark will come to the light. So please continue to keep my family in your prayers, and especially his brother Kimon. That was his identical twin brother, and he's going through a lot, and I know he is. We talk often about certain things, but I know that he is really going through a lot, and I thank God for keeping me where I'm at, where I'm able to talk about what happened to my son. I'm able to do what I need to do as a parent with trying to fight to get justice for my son. And I'm not where I need to be, but I'm not where I used to be, meaning that I have way more information than what they said I would ever get. So at the end of the day, I know that everything is going to be worked out. But in order for it to be worked out, I got to continue doing what I do, and that's just fight for justice. And thank you, and please continue to share this video with anyone, and have a blessed day. Thank you.